At 7:42 a.m. on October 17, 2019, a silver sedan was found parked at the far corner of the employee lot at Westbrook Technologies in downtown Sacramento. The engine was off. The driver's window was fogged. Inside, a man sat motionless in the front seat. Security called 911. Responding officers broke the driver's side glass and confirmed the man was dead. He was identified as Mark Ellison, 42, a senior project manager at the company. There were no signs of forced entry, no visible struggle, and no valuables missing. His phone was gone. A faint chemical odor hung inside the car. Paramedics noted a small puncture wound on the side of his neck, partly hidden by his shirt collar. By 8:15 a.m., the parking lot was sealed as a homicide scene. Employees arriving for work were diverted to a side entrance. From the windows, some could see the covered vehicle and the growing police presence. Within hours, detectives learned that Mark's personal life was well known inside the building. For months, he had been involved in an affair with a coworker, a relationship everyone seemed to know about but no one had reported. The investigation would reveal that the affair was only the beginning. It had created alliances, rivalries, and grudges within the office. And on the morning Mark Ellison died, the chain of events set in motion by that relationship reached its final outcome. Westbrook Technologies occupied 2 floors of a mid-rise office building in downtown Sacramento. The company specialized in software solutions for logistics and supply chain clients. It had around 70 employees, most working in open-plan offices with glass-walled meeting rooms along the perimeter. Mark Ellison had been with Westbrook for 9 years. As a senior project manager, he oversaw several high-value contracts and was well-connected within the company. He was married with 2 children and lived in a suburb 20 minutes away. The co-worker at the center of the affair was 34-year-old Amanda Lewis, a business analyst who had joined the company in 2017. She and Mark worked closely on multiple projects, often traveling to client sites together. Over time, their relationship shifted from professional to personal. By early 2019, the affair had become common knowledge within the office. Whispered conversations and subtle changes in meeting schedules didn't go unnoticed. Several employees later confirmed that the relationship created visible tension among certain staff, particularly those who worked directly with either Mark or Amanda. Management had not formally addressed the matter. From the outside, the office functioned as usual. But beneath the routine workflow, the affair had altered dynamics, setting the stage for the events of October 17th. On the morning of October 17, 2019, security cameras at Westbrook Technologies recorded Mark Ellison's silver sedan entering the employee parking lot at 6:58 a.m. He parked in an isolated corner near the rear loading dock, a section rarely used except for delivery vehicles. No one else was seen approaching the car immediately after it arrived. At 7:15 a.m., a custodian walking between buildings noticed the vehicle still idling. By 7:30 a.m., the engine was off, but the driver remained inside. The custodian assumed Mark was making phone calls or reviewing work materials. At 7:42 a.m., an employee arriving early noticed condensation on the driver's side window and that Mark was not moving. She reported it to security. The building's on-site guard approached the vehicle, tapped on the window, and received no response. Emergency services were contacted at 7:45 a.m. Paramedics arrived within minutes. The driver's side window was broken to gain entry. Mark was unresponsive, with no detectable pulse. A faint chemical odor was present inside the vehicle, and a small puncture wound was observed on the left side of his neck, partially concealed beneath his collar. The scene was secured as a potential homicide. The sedan was processed on site before being towed to the police impound facility. Inside the car, investigators found a coffee cup in the center console, a briefcase in the back seat, and a laptop bag on the passenger side floor. His phone, wallet, and office access badge were missing. Surveillance footage from surrounding buildings was collected. One nearby camera, positioned at a delivery bay entrance, recorded a shadow moving along the far edge of the parking lot at approximately 7:05 a.m., but the resolution was too low to identify the individual. By 8:15 a.m., arriving employees were diverted to a side entrance. From the upper floor windows, several could see the silver sedan surrounded by police and forensic units. While officers worked, management instructed staff to remain at their desks and avoid discussing the situation. The initial autopsy conducted later that day revealed traces of a concentrated paralytic agent in Mark's system, a substance typically used in medical procedures, not commercially available to the public. Toxicology confirmed it had been administered within minutes of his death, consistent with the small wound on his neck. Investigators concluded the injection had been delivered while Mark was inside his vehicle and before the engine was turned off. The absence of defensive wounds suggested he had been caught off guard, possibly by someone he recognized and allowed to approach his car without resistance. Within hours, detectives began interviewing employees. Nearly all acknowledged awareness of Mark's affair with Amanda Lewis. Some admitted seeing arguments between them in the weeks prior. Others described changes in Mark's behavior, including leaving the office unexpectedly and making phone calls in private. By the end of the first day, the Sacramento Police Department had established that Mark's death was targeted, not random. The location, the choice of substance, and the proximity to his workplace indicated premeditation. The investigation would focus on his personal connections inside the company and the relationships that had been shaped by months of workplace gossip and tension. The investigation into Mark Ellison's death was led by Detective Carla Mendez of the Sacramento Police Department's Homicide Division. From the outset, the office environment provided an unusual advantage. Nearly every employee had a perspective on Mark's personal life, and few were reluctant to talk. The first priority was reconstructing his final hours. Surveillance footage confirmed he had arrived at the office at 6:58 a.m., earlier than his usual start time. His wife later told investigators he had left home at 6:25 a.m., saying he needed to prepare for a client presentation. His route to work was uneventful on traffic cameras until he entered the company lot. Detectives canvassed the area for external footage. A nearby cafe's security camera captured a figure walking toward the direction of the office at 6:45 a.m., wearing a hooded jacket and carrying what appeared to be a messenger bag. The image quality was low, but the build and height matched several employees. The missing phone, wallet, and office badge became immediate points of interest. Phone carrier records showed that Mark's device had been powered down at 7:06 a.m., less than 10 minutes after he parked. The last outgoing activity on the phone was a text message sent at 6:52 a.m. to Amanda Lewis, stating only, "We need to talk before anyone else gets here." Detectives interviewed Amanda the same afternoon. She admitted the affair, claiming it had ended 2 weeks earlier. She denied meeting Mark that morning and said she had been at home until arriving at work at 8:20 a.m. However, security logs for her apartment building showed her keycard was used to exit at 6:31 a.m. A search of Mark's office revealed a locked desk drawer containing a manila folder labeled with Amanda's initials. Inside were printed emails, photographs taken outside of work, and bank statements showing transfers from Mark's personal account to one belonging to Amanda. The total transfers amounted to just over $18,000 in the past 6 months. Forensic analysis of the coffee cup from Mark's car found no traces of the paralytic agent. This indicated the substance had been administered directly rather than ingested. The puncture wound suggested a syringe had been used. A search warrant for medical supply records was issued, focusing on purchases of restricted paralytics in the region. 2 weeks earlier, an online purchase had been made under the name of an unrelated third party, but shipped to a post office box registered to Amanda's cousin. Detectives also noted rising workplace tensions. Several employees reported that Amanda had been spending more time with another colleague, Brian Keller, a systems administrator. Keller was questioned and acknowledged a friendship with Amanda, but denied any romantic involvement. His alibi placed him at a gym at the time of the murder, verified by check-in records and surveillance. The break came from parking lot security footage that had initially been overlooked. In the far corner of a secondary camera's frame, a reflection in a window showed someone leaning into the driver's side of Mark's sedan at 7:03 a.m. The figure was partially obscured, but clothing patterns and the shape of the messenger bag matched those of the person seen on the cafe's camera earlier. Detectives obtained a warrant to search Amanda's apartment. Inside, they found the same hooded jacket visible in the cafe footage, along with a messenger bag containing a used syringe and a small vial with trace residue of the paralytic agent identified in the autopsy. Her fingerprints were present on both items. Phone records placed her device in the vicinity of the office parking lot between 6:50 a.m. and 7:10 a.m., contradicting her statement of arriving after 8 a.m. Additionally, Mark's missing phone was located during a sweep of a drainage culvert 2 blocks from the office, wrapped in a plastic bag. Forensic analysis showed Amanda's fingerprints on the bag. By the end of the second week, the evidence established a clear link. Amanda Lewis had motive through the deteriorating affair and financial entanglement, opportunity through her early arrival, and direct physical evidence connecting her to the administration of the fatal injection. The investigation was now less about proving she was involved and more about determining whether anyone else had assisted or had prior knowledge. As the case against Amanda Lewis strengthened, detectives received an anonymous tip through the department's online reporting portal. The sender claimed that Amanda had not acted alone, and that someone else in the office made sure she wouldn't get caught. The message contained no name, but it listed a date, September 12, 2019, and instructed investigators to check the server logs. Detective Carla Mendez obtained IT records from Westbrook Technologies. On the date mentioned, someone using administrator credentials had remotely accessed Mark Ellison's company email account and deleted several folders. Forensic recovery retrieved fragments of messages between Mark and Amanda, including discussions about money, arguments about keeping quiet, and references to a third person they both appeared to distrust. Further analysis of the recovered emails revealed a trail leading to Brian Keller, the systems administrator who had previously provided an alibi. His login credentials had been used for the email deletions, and his workstation had been connected during the exact time the deletions occurred. When confronted, Keller insisted someone else must have used his credentials without permission. Investigators subpoenaed Keller's personal bank records. Over a 3-month period, he had received 4 cash deposits totaling $12,000. The deposits coincided with dates of large withdrawals from Amanda's account. This financial connection, coupled with the deleted email evidence, indicated Keller had a vested interest in protecting Amanda and possibly aiding her in concealing the affair's more damaging details. The deeper investigators looked, the more they realized the affair was tied to blackmail. Additional recovered emails showed that Mark had threatened to disclose the relationship to company leadership and to Amanda's spouse unless she repaid the $18,000 in transfers. Amanda's responses were vague, but suggested she was under pressure from someone else to make sure Mark stayed quiet. The turning point came when digital forensics uncovered deleted security footage from the office's server for the morning of October 17th. Backup storage revealed the missing files. Keller had remotely accessed the server that afternoon and erased video from a camera covering the rear lot entrance. The restored footage showed Amanda walking toward Mark's car at 7:02 a.m., carrying the messenger bag later found in her apartment. This footage also captured a second figure lingering near the delivery entrance, Brian Keller. He remained, partially obscured, but timestamps placed him in the area before Amanda approached the car and still there when she walked away. Keller's gym alibi fell apart when investigators confirmed he had checked in but left less than 5 minutes later, returning after the estimated time of the murder. With the new evidence, prosecutors prepared to charge Keller as an accessory to murder and for obstruction of justice. They theorized that Keller had assisted Amanda by ensuring there would be no surveillance footage linking her to the crime and possibly by acting as a lookout. The most unexpected twist came from Amanda's phone. During a final review before trial, investigators recovered a series of encrypted voice messages sent to an unknown contact. Decryption revealed the messages had been sent to Keller the night before Mark's death. In them, Amanda discussed meeting early and making sure he doesn't walk into that building. She also mentioned no second chances and doing it before anyone arrives. This direct communication confirmed that the killing had been pre-planned and that Keller had been involved in coordinating it. The messages also erased any lingering doubt about intent, replacing speculation with a clear sequence. Amanda and Keller had arranged for her to confront Mark in the parking lot, administer the injection, and leave before the bulk of employees arrived. Keller's role was to remove digital traces and ensure no one interrupted her. By the time the prosecution finalized its case, what began as an investigation into a workplace affair had expanded into a conspiracy involving murder, cover-up, and coordinated digital sabotage. The narrative had shifted entirely. This was not a single impulsive act driven by personal tension, but a calculated operation executed by two people inside the same company, both of whom thought the office rumor mill would mask their real intentions. The joint trial of Amanda Lewis and Brian Keller began on May 4, 2020, in Sacramento County Superior Court. Both faced charges of first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and obstruction of justice. Keller also faced separate counts for evidence tampering and unauthorized access to a computer system. The prosecution's case opened with the timeline of October 17th, supported by surveillance footage, forensic evidence, and digital records. Jurors saw the restored video showing Amanda approaching Mark Ellison's car at 7:02 a.m., the messenger bag in her hand, and Keller positioned near the delivery entrance during the same time. The state emphasized that this was not circumstantial. It was a sequence supported by physical evidence, electronic records, and witness statements. Medical experts testified about the paralytic agent used to kill Mark, confirming it was not commercially available and matched the residue found in Amanda's apartment. Forensic specialists explained that the injection site on Mark's neck indicated the attack was swift and deliberate. Digital forensic experts detailed Keller's role in erasing the office security footage and accessing Mark's email account to delete messages. They presented logs showing that Keller's credentials were used within hours of the murder to remove surveillance files, and that backup storage proved the deletions were intentional. The prosecution also played the decrypted voice messages Amanda had sent to Keller the night before the murder. In them, she referred to making sure he doesn't walk into that building and doing it before anyone arrives. The state argued these messages were explicit evidence of premeditation and coordination. The defense attempted to separate the defendants' roles. Amanda's attorneys claimed she had gone to speak with Mark but panicked when he threatened to expose her, leading to an impulsive act. They argued Keller's actions were motivated by loyalty to Amanda, not foreknowledge of murder. Keller's defense claimed he believed he was deleting embarrassing personal footage to protect Amanda from workplace scandal, not covering up a homicide. However, the prosecution countered that the precision of the actions, early arrival, positioning in the lot, use of a restricted paralytic, rapid removal of surveillance, and disposal of Mark's phone, left no room for claims of impulse or misunderstanding. Witnesses from the office testified about the atmosphere leading up to the murder, including frequent arguments between Amanda and Mark in the weeks prior and a visible shift in Amanda's interactions with Keller. Bank records showing multiple cash deposits to Keller's account matching withdrawals from Amanda's were also presented as evidence of an ongoing arrangement. After 4 weeks of testimony, the jury deliberated for just under 3 days. On June 10, 2020, both Amanda Lewis and Brian Keller were found guilty on all major counts. Amanda received a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. Keller was sentenced to life with the possibility of parole after 30 years. The verdict drew strong reaction from the Sacramento business community, as it was rare for a workplace relationship, widely known but largely ignored by management, to escalate into a calculated killing involving multiple employees. The case also prompted discussions within corporate HR and security circles about how visible interpersonal conflicts inside an office can mask deeper, more dangerous dynamics. The convictions of Amanda Lewis and Brian Keller closed a case that began with office gossip and ended in a calculated killing. The evidence had shown a sequence of deliberate actions, from Amanda's early arrival and direct contact with Mark Ellison in the parking lot, to Keller's role in deleting surveillance footage and concealing digital trails. Together, they had turned a workplace affair into a coordinated homicide. Mark's family, present for every day of the trial, left the courthouse without the unanswered questions that often linger in similar cases. The forensic evidence, surveillance recovery, and decrypted communications had provided a clear narrative from the morning of the murder to the defendant's arrests. At Westbrook Technologies, management implemented new security protocols, including tighter control over surveillance systems and stricter reporting requirements for employee conflicts. The case became a reference point in corporate training sessions about recognizing and addressing inappropriate workplace relationships and potential threats. Amanda Lewis will spend the rest of her life in prison. Brian Keller will not be eligible for parole until 2050. Both remain incarcerated in separate state facilities. The case leaves one enduring fact. Nearly everyone in the office knew about the affair. Few considered it more than an HR issue, but in the end, it created the environment for a homicide carried out within sight of the workplace. When a workplace rumor becomes common knowledge, it is often dismissed as harmless background noise. In this case, it was the opening chapter in a chain of events that ended with murder,